All right, we welcome you all here tonight to our Board of Finance meeting, which will be first. Start out, declare Board of Education as a whole will constitute the Board of Finance. We need a motion and second.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and second to declare the Board of Education as a whole will constitute the Board of Finance. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passes. We need to elect the president of the Board of Finance. We need a motion.
I move that we have the same officers as the regular meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, so president being Scott Hoppert, secretary Kevin Bowman to be the Board of Finance. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Report on investments.
All right, so no change from last year, but outside of the numbers for 2025, we have two checking accounts that we pay claims and payroll from, along with the savings account. Those commercial accounts allow us to maximize interest earned and also to minimize any banking fees on the balances of those accounts. The interest that we earn is received into the operations fund currently. That can be changed to receipt into the education fund if we ever desire to do that. One of the reasons we do put it into the operations fund is to minimize the amounts that may be necessary to transfer monthly from the education to the operations fund. So the interest rates on those accounts are variable. In 2025, the high was in January, 4.23%, dropped over the course of the year to a low of 3.62% in December. And also I'll point out that in September of 2025, we contracted a floor rate of 2% with First Farmers through August of 2027. 2025 total, just a little bit more than what was earned in 2024 by about $26,000. And then I just broke out the rates by month there at the end of that page too. So, other than that, that is the investment.
Travis, our contract with a floor of 2%, is there, what's the other requirements? We have to have a certain balance or anything like that?
No, not spelled out specifically.
All right. Any questions on the investments? Financial report.
All right, so this again is the annual fiscal indicators report. In 2019, I believe it was the DUAB, the Distressed Unit Appeal Board, was established, and as part of that board, requires all Indiana public schools to present a written report on the fiscal indicators, and so this slide deck satisfies that requirement. The first one there, just kind of a quick overview of the district's ADM, net assessed value, and the estimated population.
Can I say one thing? Sorry to interrupt.
Absolutely.
Just so everybody knows. So these, the data is from December of 2024. So this is a year old data. So it's not as of December 2025. So the DUAB is always a year behind the current data. So just to clarify that.
So I guess the first indicator is the average daily membership, and obviously MSD of Wabash County has stable enrollment of around 2,100 for the previous 3 school years. The lowest that's represented on this chart was from the fall of 2018 at 2012, high of 2189 in the spring of 23. Really, the only thing that I'd like to add to this is the consistency of our ADM. Makes it easier for us to budget and plan for education fund expenditures. So if no questions on this one, we'll move to the next. This one just breaks out fund balances from the large categories, I guess, of funds that we have. And the district continues to have adequate fund balances. Any negative balances that you see there below the zero typically represent federal funds such as Title I grant money. And the reason those are negative is the requirement of using that money is that we spend it and they would request reimbursement. So it creates a negative cash flow just kind of in and of itself, just the way those funds were required to operate those funds in that fashion. And then the next one is the surplus. Again, the district has consistently operated with an annual surplus, especially over this 10-year span that's represented in this chart, and has been able to grow that surplus over the course of the last 3 years. So we certainly wish for that to continue. Then the next one is this one. I've heard from my previous experience that this is kind of the one that the DUAB looks at as arguably the most important of all these fiscal indicators that they provide the data for. Represents the comparison of our fund balances with expenditures, and just kind of as a benchmark, I guess 50% would indicate that the district has balances in the funds to cover 6 months worth of expenses. And obviously, our district is and has been financially healthy for several years running, as indicated by those percentages. And then the next one is revenue by type. So this indicator is designed to identify any glaring anomalies in revenue sources and or reliance on any operating referendum revenue. Obviously, the district has no operating referendum revenue, and the other revenues are within expected ranges for the district. Then finally, we have to, it's required that we include this slide showing operating referendum revenue, which is 0. So that's an easy one. And then finally, the last 3 slides are just financial goals for the district. And the first 2 relate to fund balances. The first one here shows the education fund balance. The goal is to have greater than or equal to 3 months of expenses while increasing pay, benefits, and improving programming needs. I can speak to the first 3 of those. Obviously, the balances are greater than the 3 times the monthly average, and I know for a fact that pay and benefits have been increased just since I've been here. So. I won't speak to improving programming needs, but I believe we're also doing that. Kind of the same thing with the operation fund. We're well above that financial goal money-wise. Again, we've increased pay and benefits, and I believe it can obviously be said that we are maintaining and improving our campuses as well. Then finally, the rainy day fund. The goal there is to have at least 10% of the education operations funds budget as a balance in that rainy day fund, and at the end of 2026, we achieve that goal. Obviously, we expect and hope that the education operations funds, the budgets that we get for each of those funds continues to increase each year. So we'll keep an eye on that rainy day fund, and hopefully we'll be able to keep adding to that too. So with that,
Are these financial goals put in place by us, or
my
Yeah,
understanding
those
is
are
that-
things we discussed a
So,
while ago.
is there a point where the state wants us to adjust our goals, or?
So when we set these goals, I don't remember when the exact year was. It was probably when we started developing our strategic plan, so around that 2019, 2020 timeframe. We based it off of what the state required us to do from our food service standpoint, which was to have a 3-month or greater balance in our food service. And so we kind of mirrored that off of that line of thinking. That has recently changed because now the state recognizes the food service budget as having 6 months instead of 3 months. They just changed that, I think, a year or two ago. And so we can follow suit at any time with that as well. But we've not had any further discussion about that. And we're happy to look at changing that to be more of a 6-month balance versus a 3-month balance. I always learned growing up and through school, as far as just a personal savings, was to have 6 months. So I guess it could kind of mirror that as well.
So when do we change that, if we would want to change that? I mean, does that take place tonight, or is that something for thought for future, or I mean, when do you make that decision?
Yeah, I don't know that that's something that would require a board approval, but I think that it would be something that we could easily change if we felt like everybody thought it was a good idea to move towards that. Like I said, we had these discussions when we talked about our strategic and built our strategic plan, and that's what we based it off
Some
of.
of it's coming back.
Yeah, and so we will be looking at kind of revamping that strategic plan a little bit, not necessarily the priorities, but just the goals within the priorities,
Yep.
and that could be one we could easily adopt.
Good.
Well, personally, that rainy day fund at the time seemed almost an impossibility, so it's a pleasure to see it where it's at.
Yes. Good financial information. We appreciate the work that goes into that. Travis, I guess, Chris, you kind of mentoring.
Travis
giving
just
it-
started and we met all the goals. I never met all the goals.
Now we know who it was.
Yeah.
Cleaned up what the last guy left.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Take care of all this.
I did see our expenses, monthly average expenses went down somehow.
See?
All right, you guys
Like
have
we just-
anything else?
yep. If there's nothing else, I just close the meeting and we'll start with our regular.
Okay, we'll adjourn that meeting, and then we'll start with our school board meeting. Start out with pledge allegiance, followed by a prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, Lord Jesus, what a pleasure it is to be able to begin this meeting tonight and asking for your presence among us. We know that you contain all wisdom and the answer to every question we might have. Just ask that you might join us here at the table and sit among us, that we can draw from that wisdom and express our desire to please you. I also ask that you might be in the hallways and classrooms of all of our buildings. We have a wonderful group of faculty and administrators, but you know, there's days where that certain teacher might be discouraged, and I ask that you might slip into that room, bring encouragement to her, and be in the hallways with the students. A lot of these kids come from difficult situations, and they need to know that the school, but especially you, are there to, so that they might experience the kindness and the love and the compassion that only comes from you. And I just ask these things, and to bring glory and honor to your name, for it is always yours and it will always be. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Kevin. Future board meetings, February 10th, February 24th, March 10th, all here at 6 o'clock here at the administration building. No revisions to the agenda, so we'll move on to recognition. We've got some donations, we'll get those all approved at the end. Recommendation to approve $300 donation from Ron and Deb Schinkel for Northfield Athletics, $100 for volleyball, $100 for basketball, $100 for softball. Recommendation to approve $300 donation from McKelp Seeds for Northfield Wrestling, to Bill Campbell Memorial. Recommendation to approve $50 donation from Jonathan Floyd for the Northfield Wrestling, Bill Campbell Memorial. Recommendation to approve $100 donation from Shirley Bansteel for Northfield Wrestling for Bill Campbell Memorial. And that is all the donations. Motion and second to approve those generous donations.
So, second.
So we second.
Got a motion and second to approve these donations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, as always, we appreciate all those donations. School recognition.
Yeah, have a few recognitions. Mr. Stoffer from Southwood Elementary would like to extend a sincere thank you to Mrs. Kim Weaver, who is a former bookkeeper of ours at Southwood Elementary, for returning after retirement to assist with the transition of our new secretary bookkeeper position during a unique hiring situation. Mrs. Weaver was extremely accommodating and played a key role in keeping our school finances current and up to date, while also training our new bookkeeper, Mrs. Adrienne Gomez. Mrs. Gomez has had a tremendous start in her new role, and we are grateful for the support that made this smooth transition possible. Mrs. Moore from Metro North would like to give a huge thank you to our Metro North cafeteria staff, Ashley Schaefer, Angie Dyson, Sandra Frazier, and Christina Houlihan-Willett, and our head custodian, Shannon Peer. With our gym cafeteria renovations in the final stages of construction, these ladies have gone above and beyond to ensure that breakfast and lunch is served with as much ease as possible. Our cafeteria team has spent time packaging items to help eliminate spills. Mrs. Peer has made sure that all classes have everything they need in their wing area for meals, as well as running trash and carts of trays and utensils back to the cafeteria. This team is extraordinary in the way they support one another and problem solve creatively to keep things running smoothly, so thank you. Mrs. Moore also would like to recognize, I believe her name is Solveig, a first grader who created her first ever newsletter titled The Metro North News. She drafted her first version at home and shared it with Mrs. Moore last Wednesday. Armed with a few ideas and a baggie of new writing tools, Solveig went home and created her final draft on Wednesday night. She had a specific purpose for publishing her newsletter. She is excited about the Metro North Girl Scout recruitment night next week. She wants all the girls to attend because being in Girl Scouts with friends would make it so much more fun. On Thursday, she returned with her final copy, learned how to run the copy machine in the office, and began posting her newsletter around Metro North. As we placed copies on doors and bulletin boards and the entrances to the girls' restrooms, Solveig was already talking about ideas for her next issue. Congratulations, Solveig, on being a published author. We can't wait to see your next issue. And I'll just show you, Mrs. Moore sent a few pictures of that. So there's her putting up her newsletter poster about the Girl Scouts. And a couple more to go with that. There she is, all smiles. And recruiting the kids early. So, very fun learning experience for Solvay. Next, Mr. Snyder from Northfield wanted to recognize the Northfield Girls Wrestling end of season highlights. The Northfield Girls Wrestling program demonstrated significant growth this season, sending 6 qualifiers to the regional in Kokomo. Emerson Zwiebel, Fiona Schnelker, Olia Leffert, Amara Frieden, Sheila Smith, and Isabel Schultz. All 6 athletes competed with composure against elite competition, with junior Amara Frieden leading the way by securing a 3rd place regional finish and advancing to the 2026 state finals. At state, Frieden earned an 8th place finish at 140 pounds, contributing 5 team points and finishing her season with a 26-8 record and 64 career victories. Her performance was historic. She is now one of only 13 qualifiers and the 4th wrestler in school history to earn a spot on the IHSAA state podium, cementing her place among Northfield's most accomplished athletes. Thank you for first-year coach Nicole Knox and assistant Spencer Miller. That wraps up my recognitions for tonight.
All right. Public comment, agenda items only.
Still frozen. Just here.
We'll move on to agenda items. We need to get a motion and second to approve our regular meeting minutes for January 13th and the reorganization meeting for January 13th. Motion and second to approve those minutes.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and second to approve those meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Financial report, claims and payroll.
All right, we got another round of claims. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Some annual stuff that we're taking care of in January. And the payroll is number 13. And again, nothing unusual on that, but if there's any questions, I'll try to answer.
Got a motion and second to approve claims and payroll 13.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and second to approve claims and payroll number 13. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. HR. Under resignations, Stephanie Greasley, is that right? Presley, Southwood Elementary, that was effective 1/29, she's a paraprofessional. Employment, Jocelyn Rowe, paraprofessional for Southwood Elementary, effective 1/16. And Larry Bud Wright, head coach, Southwood High School. All right, sorry. Larry Bud Wright, head coach, Southwood High School, effective immediately. Under retirement, Linda Felheim, classroom superintendent, White's High School. That's effective 6/24. And we have 2 leave of absence, 198, the leave will begin May 4th, and through the end of the 2025-26 school year. And 199 leave will begin January 5th, and approximately return date is March 18th. And looks like we got a lot of that's Moorfield spring coaches. Kyle France, head softball. Avery Esley, assistant softball. Corey Fuller, assistant softball. Jamie Wright, assistant softball. Kirsten Wright, volunteer assistant softball. Maddie Culver, volunteer assistant softball. Joseph Mitchell, head baseball. Remington Montz, assistant baseball. Jeff Campus, assistant baseball. Sam Burcroft, JV assistant baseball. Micah Higgins, head. I guess that's head JV baseball.
Probably.
Bruce Campus, assistant baseball. Kevin Lemming, assistant baseball. John Higgins, a volunteer assistant baseball. Meredith. Still cracks me up.
Yeah.
Tennis. Heather Hayden, head track. Larry Bond, assistant track. Dick Lemming, assistant track. Tricia Oswald, assistant track. Hannah Brubaker, assistant track. Sam Burcroft, JV assistant baseball. We had him up there earlier. Yeah. Joseph Delgado, volunteer junior high assistant track. Alyssa McKillop, volunteer assistant track. Tom Garthy, volunteer assistant track. Trey Cole, head golf. Anthony Sword, JV golf. Chris Cartwright, junior high golf. And Brandon Ripplinger, assistant baseball. You get a motion second to approve, wait, yeah, that's it. Over HR.
So moved, Scott.
Second.
Got a motion second to approve our HR. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'd like to just mention one, Linda Fellheim has been a staple at White's for 21 years, and she's worked in different various roles. So we've appreciated her and her work with White's and White students over those past years, and wish her the best in retirement.
Sure appreciate all those that stick around and make their impact on the school district. Okay, reports. Matt?
Harlan had their reorganization meeting last week. Got elected president. We had some nice donations from Parcan up here on 15, and Caleb Bourne Everest there for Urbana for the welding classes. I don't know the values on that, but it's sure nice to get pieces to weld with and stuff like that. So they've been very good about that. Yeah, I got a slate here you guys can look at. BPA, FCCLA, Skills USA Cosmetology, and Cybersecurity. They all have competitions, and there's a list of kids that are going to that from the different schools. We approved all that. And the big thing that we had, as I mentioned to you guys about the precision ag class, they want to kind of go another direction or try to add on to what they're doing. And they were wanting to farm the 35 acres around the school. Presently, we have a tenant that's doing it, has done a good job and no problems there. And he's been gracious enough to say, okay, because that should have been done in the fall, as we all know. It's a good idea. I have reservations. I don't know whether these kids can do that in the 2.5 hour period that they have in the morning and 2.5 hour period they have in the afternoon. Who's going to, I was wondering who's that one? They'll have to talk to you later. I like the idea, and we had a meeting beforehand, and I had questions for her, the instructor. What's the plan? You know, they gave what I call a 30,000 foot view. It looks good, but somebody on the ground has to do this stuff, and they didn't have those things lined up according to what I think they needed to be prepared for this. And there's a kind of a quick push between January meeting and February to get it done, without a lot of these questions being asked or addressed. I wanted to bounce it off you guys. We got a lot of farmers here. How are we going to get that done? If they use another farmer, or use a cooperative guy, are they gonna, will that be any different than present
Yeah.
person? Because they're not gonna be in the tractor. Our present tenant cannot have kids in there because they're in OSHA rules. They can't have anybody under 18 working for it.
That was gonna be.
So that creates an, because I always thought, well, if you can just put the kids in the tractors and, you know, and see this stuff going, it would be interesting, but that can't be done. So if you have another tenant farmer come in, cooperative farmer, I should say, and do that, well, are they really getting, like you were saying, how big equipment do you use? What crop do you plant? And I asked the kids, how deep do you plant?
Right.
Nobody had answers. And it's a good idea, but I guess my thought is, if it's a good idea, it'll still be a good idea next year. Let's step back, get things planned out, get your equipment lined up, and things like, doing it now, I don't know. I'm kind of giving you my leaning,
Yeah.
but I'm willing to go other directions.
Matt, what you're expressing there is kind of what my first thoughts were too when you mentioned that we might discuss this tonight, is that if you don't think the plan is cohesive, that it's refined enough, put together, then I would probably say, let's get it together and do it next year, you know?
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with them having a learning opportunity this spring and this fall, that they go and they learn from some local farmers, and they go and they say, hey, you know, they learn how they're planting it, you know, how deep they're planting it, what the fertilizer needs to be on, you know, they're learning those things, and then this whole year they can figure out equipment. Because I don't see a benefit of them coming in there with a 24-row planter and planting it
Somebody else.
in 30 minutes, and
Correct.
they're not gonna learn anything.
They're not gonna spend any time. And I mentioned to them, your precision ag class, I wanna see precision planting equipment. I want you to be able to see the technology. Are we gonna
Yeah.
change populations along the way? You're gonna have different fertilizer reps.
Yeah.
And then you gotta have the same type of thing in your combine. Who's gonna do that? So you can pick up that data.
That's a very good point, because they could develop the precision part of it for heading into next year.
Mm-hmm.
And then do the variable
I
rate.
mean,
and
they
do all
could
the soil
take
sampling.
they could take a 6-row planter, and they go get one cheap somewhere.
Who's gonna pick it up?
No, I don't
I
know.
no,
I'm just-
I agree.
I'm just saying,
Yes.
or maybe they could get it
Get
donated.
donations to do that
Well,
too.
I think they get a lot of
But what I'm saying is,
donations.
they could get donations from, you know, True Land,
True land.
but they can build kind of their own planter with the precision stuff on it. They can learn what that equipment is actually supposed to be doing. I just think that if there has to be more time. I don't think they have enough time.
And the other thing, you guys,
Unless they figure out, the only thing I can think of this year is if they had enough donations and they had a local guy that just wanted to come in there and plant it, they could learn a little bit about it. They could take that cash, because they're gonna make something if they're getting
if
everything
they're doing
donated.
they'll have cash.
They're gonna have cash that they could turn a certain value back into buying a planter, or, you know.
And those are the things that have to be
that-
kind of lined up. Let's jump in, it looks like a good idea, which is true, but,
One of the things to keep in mind is the scholarships.
well, yeah, the scholarship money comes from the rental money. And
When
this year,
do you do that? Is that like, would that be, is it already funded for this year, or is it?
halfway,
So, because they take half the rent.
from the fall rent, and spring rent, you know, it ends up being the year.
Which they were figuring on paying that, right? Did I understand that right? The class, they were gonna try to figure.
It could be done, because we've already got basically half of it. You'd have donations or other grants to finish out for this year. And if they made the money next year,
They were figuring to pay it,
Yeah,
right? That's
correct.
And then, that's what I was getting at, is if they have that, then whatever they had left over, they could maybe be able to donate.
could do something with.
So I mean, I can see it both ways, you know, if they're able to find enough donations for fertilizer, seed, and then
Supposedly
the
you got that
equipment.
all covered.
Well, yeah, they probably do,
But,
but I mean, again, it's not anything different if one guy's going in there and planting versus the other guy. so what are they learning from it? You know,
I see opportunities out there, you know, you mentioned soil testing. They can go out there and soil test that ground out. Nobody is stopping them from plotting it out and taking it and checking from year to year. And my nephew, he likes to go out and check corn plants coming up.
Mhm.
They could do that. You know, they could take a whole
they can
whip
watch it.
yeah, and flag
So they
every
can
one.
get started this
They can do
year
the
and
flag,
see.
they
Flag
can do
every-
flag test.
Yeah, do flag tests and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot to learn without actually planting and doing those things. I don't know whether they explored those opportunities.
So what are they seeing as the benefit of them doing it?
Class to be involved.
But they can't do anything.
I mean, unless they have their own equipment, they're not too many farmers are gonna let them just go out there and go,
I know.
especially some of them that have had no experience.
And we had, you know, people in favor of it, you know, they said, well, you got your welding class, they weld every day, you got your cosmetology, they cut hair every day. That's great. You only plant 3 days a year. You can't do that every day. You know, that argument is true, but
It's a lot bigger equipment.
yeah, and then I mentioned to a couple of the, you know, the
Unless
kids
they get
standing there, I said, you know, who's scouting in June and July? That's,
Yeah.
I said, you're at the fair, you got a family vacation, you know,
Yeah, you're
They're
just
all-
taking care of it then.
yeah,
when
who's
they're out of
doing
school.
that? Yeah, and if you got a senior, and I know some of the senior kids, they're very good farm kids,
But they're gonna be gone.
they're gonna be gone. They're not gonna be here, they'll be at Purdue or in a job someplace else. One of them's actually working for other farmers, so who's gonna come do it? And you wanna lay that on to the teacher? I don't know. That's why I'm bouncing off you guys, I want no more input than,
Yeah,
I think there's pros and cons to both. I just, like you said, it's,
I think they need to put a better plan together for this year. I don't think they should be.
I think they got a big backing. A lot of people are
A lot of
gonna,
people are
that are
for it,
gonna help
yeah.
them. There's gonna be a lot
I
of
mean, there's gonna
people.
be a lot of guys that are gonna, donate their stuff, but again, I don't see the benefit of them unless they actually have their own equipment that they could actually run and plant and work the ground, and
and
harvesting might not be as big a deal, but I mean, at least that core part, but I mean, they're out at May 25th, half the time we're not even planting by then. So it's like, what's gonna happen then?
well, they've had it penciled in between April 25th and April 30th, they get planted.
Yeah, well.
I do too. But that doesn't work, you know.
You can't predict. That's what I'm saying is there's,
And you're working in the field, those two kids are there for 2.5 hours, they gotta get out, they switch. Rain's coming at 4.
They better have that big piece of equipment they get done in there.
well, I got track practice, so I gotta get over to that, so I mean.
There's a lot of things I think they have to think through a little better.
I agree, man, if you have hesitation about it, that's the position I'd recommend you support whenever you get together with whoever
The rest of the
makes
board, yeah.
decision.
And all the rest of the board was supposed to go to their boards and kind of bounce it off everybody and see what they.
We certainly don't want to be an obstructionist for something that would be good. But since it is a precision ag class, you want that crossover, and a lot of that could begin without you actually physically farming
Correct.
the ground.
So my hope was, you know, the president could let them come in and write it with the tractor and see how this precision stuff works and stuff, but that's not possible because of the OSHA rules.
So would he allow them to do some of that stuff like you're talking out there?
Well, out there, I'm sure
Scouting
they
and
wouldn't care at
stuff?
all if they were
Well,
out there
they're not
flagging.
damaging the crop.
And he mentioned that they can soil test anytime. When the
I mean,
ground's
they
good,
can go out and do their flag tests, they can go out and watch the planter
Flag
plant, and they
rows.
can do the depths, and they can do all those
Yeah.
kind of things, but, and maybe they're involved with the, with the tenant to do a crop plan, to figure out some things,
those type of things.
maybe they can be involved that way, but until they have their own actual equipment to do it, I don't see much of a benefit.
And then you own the equipment, where are you parking it?
Well, that could probably be figured out.
Yeah.
None of us have enough for to just sit around. But that's still,
But I just wanted to bounce it off you guys and get your,
no, I think you're going the right direction.
okay.
Anything else?
That was enough.
Now, was there anything that they talked about related to the Don Wood Foundation?
Oh, yeah, they're gonna pursue that a little bit more. Because Floyd's going to be the lead on that or whatever. He liked the way it was doing and they kind of took a couple people off the way the direction was going. So he still has to meet them. But yeah, they're gonna pursue that grant and see if things happen. Maybe you get some of that money and do some of this other stuff.
Did they also mention anything about that Lutheran hospital space, that parking?
I got an email today that that's the first time I'd heard about that.
Okay,
That's only $125,000 a year to rent. At this present time.
That's not even all of it.
No, that's just for the empty end on the west side.
Just say, what you do there.
But they're willing to let the apartment have that for classroom space or whatever, but.
I know they're taking a tour or something. in a
Yeah,
couple
they're
weeks.
taking a tour next, from the 10th or something.
I know Parkview locally position is that they're very concerned about who is the tenant
Mhm.
in that building. So Hartman would be a good tenant.
Yeah, because they're not gonna compete with them.
Right, rather than a business that might not be,
Like, it's not gonna go side by side, 'cause I think it's gonna be the rehab
right?
area from the Y, they're moving from there to there.
But it could provide some additional space.
Sure, it'd be great, because it's right across the street. So you could have classes in there, even the nursing classes could
Yeah, I
be.
think it'd be right.
Because we've had some of those up at Manchester College and stuff like that.
So it's 125,000 a year?
Don't, I shouldn't have said that, but it was,
I think that's what they were looking for as a lease agreement.
yeah, I thought.
But that doesn't
That's
necessarily, yeah, that's
yeah.
negotiable.
That's a good question, because I just read that email today, I go, okay. And I told them I'd try to attend that meeting.
I didn't know if you had talked about it at a meeting or.
No, it was not
or
at the
they-
meeting, I just
or
happened to see
email.
that
Okay.
this evening before I came.
All right, superintendent report.
Yes, gonna give you an update video here of the construction at Northfield.
That's you.
So that's our art room. And that would be a classroom sample.
Didn't say cold storage.
Yeah.
Already put furniture and everything in. Further ahead than I thought.
Casework stuff. So a lot of the outside stuff is getting shored up, so a lot of work on the inside being done. And you can see a lot of the spaces and rooms starting to take shape. So moving quite a bit along. I know Sharp Creek staff took a tour a couple weeks ago. Just kind of see what those spaces were shaping up to be. So
Metro North.
Metro North, they're finishing up the gym. That was kind of part of Mrs. Moore's comments about, eating in the classroom areas so that they can tidy up what they need to get the floor in and some other fixtures in that gym space, and hopefully by spring break, it can be done. Just got a certification here, just as a recognition that we, as a board, are members of the Indiana School Boards Association again for another year. So that's good news. It helps provide a lot of professional development and information specific to school board and school board related items. Legislative update, not much more to really talk about. There have been 747 bills filed, 86 that pertain to K through 12 education. The conclusion of the second regular session of the 124th Indiana General Assembly is just 6 weeks away. Bills will need to pass out of committees in the House of Origin by noon on Monday, January 26th, and then third reading by Thursday, January 29th to remain active in the bill process. The goal is to finish legislation by February 27th. So not much time left for that. The big one, and I'll just mention it again, is the Senate Bill 78, the bell-to-bell cell phone ban. That has passed through the Senate and will move to the House. It prohibits students from using a wireless communication device during the school day, which includes smartwatches. Requires teacher-directed use of wireless communication to be for educational purposes during the school day to occur only on school-supplied communication devices. And mandates the use of a no-device policy or a secure storage policy when it comes to cell phones, smartwatches, and other personal devices. Create certain exceptions to those devices, such as if it's in an IEP, a 504 plan, medical conditions, authorized by the superintendent during emergency, and for language translation. So we'll see how that bill shapes out as it moves to the House, and there's a lot of bills that are dying in committees, but then there's language that's being pulled out of those and getting added to other bills, and so things start getting crazy as you get closer to the end of the sessions, as things are getting thrown in there for things. So we'll keep a monitor on that, but that was one thing that I want to mention for that. And then the last thing I'd like to mention is I made a little comment in yesterday's communication as far as weather is concerned, as being the chief meteorologist for the school district. We've had 5 delays and now 6 cancellations. And so hopefully our goal is to get back into school, but we want to make sure that it's safe and appropriate. And forecast for tomorrow doesn't look great. So anyway, we have 8 e-learning days that we can use for cancellation processes. So we've been at 6. We only have 2 more of those remaining, and then we would have to shift to, it would still be virtual learning, but it would be synchronous learning, which basically means there is live interaction between students and staff. And so schedules would be built, and there would be time periods where students would meet directly with teachers throughout the day. I don't know, Jen, is there anything that you want to add to that?
Would that follow the regular class schedule like we got right now? I mean,
Short versions of it, more for the upper elementary, yes. The upper grade levels like high school and junior high, yes. The elementaries would be a little different, because obviously their schedules for a whole day, but you're trying to condense that into a shorter time period.
how do the teachers put that out? Are they on Zoom or?
Google Meet.
Kind of like what we did during COVID.
Yep. Yep. And so we will continue to meet with admin will continue to meet with teachers, and we started that process today a little bit. We've had a plan in place, but we never really utilized it at this point in time, and so now we're in that preparation mode of getting ready to have to use that if we get to that point. And so we'll send out communication to parents as we get a little bit closer to that time period, but we're getting to a pretty close point with that. And so we'll continue to work through those details. And, you know, it'll be a work in progress, as anything is. And we'll get through it and make it be the best that we can make it, and we'll continue to make improvements as we go. But there'll be a lot of flexibility in trying to implement that. A lot of schools around us just do sync days anyway. They don't do the e-learning portion, which is more kind of just on your own a little bit with teacher guidance if you need it, but you can only do so much on the device, whether it's e-learning or synchronous from day to day. And so the weather has not been our friend when it comes to that, at least this year. So it's been a little bit of a challenge.
All right.
Yeah, I told you that the last meeting, we're gonna look at English books, so that's this Friday. So I'll take some teachers up to Fort Wayne to look at some books for grades 6 through 12. Our focus will primarily be 6 through 8 to make sure we get the materials that they need, but all teachers will go, or sorry, the English teachers will go from the respective buildings, principals will hope to choose them. So.
All right, well, I guess Kevin forgot to pray for the warmer weather. Everybody go home. We need warmer weather.
Let's bow our heads.
Because it's obviously causing chaos in teachers' lives and coaches' lives and everything else that's going on right
Students
now.
and parents, just
Parents,
we
teachers.
need to get them back in school best we can.
Yep. You're gonna have them begging to go back to school here soon. So. All right, new business. We have recommendation to approve an overnight extended field trip for Southwood seniors to Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, April 12th through the 15th. Get a motion second to approve that field trip. Got a motion and second to approve the field trip. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Unfinished business. Any board policy? Public comment? Any items from board members? All right, we will adjourn.